Let's speak now to Thato Maleka, Secretary General of the Progressive Domestic Workers Union of South Africa. Thato, good evening to you and thank you so much for your time. So tell us more about this proposed pension fund. How will it work?
Good evening, Bongiwe, and good evening to your viewers. As the Progressive Domestic Workers Union of South Africa, we are bringing forward a new model which will ensure that all domestic workers in South Africa receive a pension fund. The model is not yet established. We are still going to sit down with the stakeholders and see which of the proposed model will work. But our proposed model is that we mimic something like the UIF, where the employer will contribute, where the worker will also contribute, and then we'll have the government coming to match both of those contributions.
And I wonder, though, as much as one could say that this is a good move to try and make sure that there's security for domestic workers, but if you still have employers who are not registering their domestic workers right now for the UIF, how are you planning on ensuring that this is done?
Look, Bungi, we know that formalization creates accountability, right? But currently, the employer does not see or does not have the awareness, maybe, to go and register their local meaning South African citizens, domestic workers. Mm-hmm. The main problem is that we have undocumented foreigners who are in our domestic sector. So the employer does not really see the need to go and register them, whereas they enjoy benefits of such as exploiting them, sometimes even breaking the law.
I wonder, though, I'm still left with no answer as to how will you ensure that those who are South African are in fact registered. And I ask this because you say formalization creates accountability, but some employers are not even adhering to the minimum wage.
Yes, that's a sad truth. And to answer that, we on the 6th of May, this 2025 year, we will be taking our grievances to the Department of Employment and Labor here in Polokwane, particularly on that, because we need to have stricter implementations of these labor laws. So one of our proposed solutions to having an employer to actually step up is two ways. Number one, we need a stricter implementation of these labor laws. Number two, if we can have SARS to come on board and give maybe an incentive, a subsidy, or even a deduction, perhaps. So I think those, or one of them, will clearly and hopefully will ensure that the employer is compliant.
And are you then also possibly ramping up calls for maybe stricter punishment or stricter measures to also be applied for those who may not take this option that you say that you are proposing should be put on the table, to say that SARS must offer some incentives? If others simply do not adhere to that and simply still do not heed your call, what happens then?
Look, this is a multi-stakeholder negotiations. We really can't speak on behalf of what SARS will put in place as consequences, or what maybe
I'm asking, what are you proposing as consequences, particularly for those who simply will not heed the call? What is the proposal?
No, a stricter implementation of labor laws. Currently, as they stand, we know that an employer who is found to be guilty of hiring maybe an undocumented foreigner is liable to a fine, and those fines are up to 50,000 rands. And now, if it's a case of where we know that this person has been hiring undocumented foreigners for a long time and he has been warned, that is jail time. So to make sure that this thing is implemented and compliance is there, we are really hoping that the inspector from Department of Employment and Labor will play ball and implement these laws and rules that are already there. So ours is just to implement it.
And for you, Thato, of course, yes, this is one conversation around the pension funds, right? But also there is another conversation when you look at some of the conditions that some of the domestic workers have to put up with, especially when they report for duty, making it difficult for them to even do their work or sometimes face abuse.
That is a sad reality, Bongiwe. And if we look at the denominator here, is that the employer is literally taking advantage. He's taking advantage because he or she knows that, number one, there's no employment of contract. So she can't complain, or he can complain. They are pushing this to a point where it's impossible to actually give care for them. Because as you say, you are either getting injured at work, you are not treated well, you are not even paid well. So I think employer needs more than awareness in this campaign. Employer needs to know the responsibilities and the rights that are established with him.
Yeah, and as you say, in some cases you find that someone reports for duty, but they don't even, they work 16, 17 hours in a day, which is something that is quite unfair. But Thato, let's see then if your actions and your proposals are in fact taken into account, and let's see how things then move forward for you. But thank you so much for chatting to us this evening. That was Thato Maleka, Secretary General of the Progressive Domestic Workers Union of South Africa.